Hey Toller Talks, you should do long-form content. I love your videos, I just wish they
Have
were
you
longer.
thought about doing
I could
longer
sit here and listen
content?
to you
Do
for an
longer
hour.
videos.
Will you ever
Come
do
on,
long
Toller
form?
Talks.
Why are
I'm
these not
surprised
10
you
minutes
got this done
plus?
in 8
Long
minutes.
form.
Should've
I'm
been
going to
longer.
high-five an 18-wheeler on the highway.
I'm gonna kill myself!
Alright already, I'll try doing some long-form content for once. It's not typically my style because I have the attention span of a goldfish, but what I've decided to do is to take all of my Starfleet Academy reviews of the last couple of months, re-edit, and combine them into one comprehensive review. I'm getting outside my comfort zone here, so if you would kindly make sure to watch and listen to as much of the video as you can. Because no offense, but if this first shot doesn't go well, I'm probably not going to do it again. Starfleet Academy, the whole damn thing. Let's talk about it. Episode 1 and 2, The Dumb Fuckery Begins. Hey you. Are you interested in a new Star Trek series made for younger audiences? Are you interested in a young and diverse cast that were hired on the mere merit that they're young and diverse because they've got the acting range of Brie Larson on their worst day and Tessa Thompson on their best? Are you interested in this thing? Or that, or whatever the fuck this is supposed to be?
What the hell is even that?
Well, shut up, bigot, because you're gonna get it anyway. And it comes in the form of Starfleet Academy, Paramount's latest, creative endeavor that I was well aware of and wanted to skip, but people just won't shut the hell up about it. And if curiosity killed the cat, then it definitely ran me over with a forklift. So off I went to check out the first 2 episodes, and after 2 hours of what I can only describe as cinematic torture, I've got a few things I want to say. To lead things off, we're going to talk about our hero. And I say hero lightly because this guy has as much in common with heroes like Captain Kirk and Captain Picard as I do with Jennifer Aniston. We're introduced to him in the opening minutes of the first episode, when his mother is incarcerated for stealing food and he becomes a ward of the Federation. He ends up pretty much living a life of crime for the next 15 years because he escaped from the cell that they put him in when his mother was taken away. I can't remember his name, so for the purpose of this video, I'm going to call him Gary Stu. Why Gary Stu? Because just like seemingly every damn character in modern entertainment, this guy is great at pretty much everything, for no other reason other than the plot wants him to be.
Of course.
When the hell are we gonna just... Oh God, when are we gonna stop this nonsense? We've been doing it for over 10 years at this point. Audiences didn't like it back then, and they most certainly don't like it now. Anyway, I digress. So Gary Stu is apparently a world-class fighter, a pilot who's good enough to keep prison ships traveling at high speeds from crash landing, a genius hacker capable of overriding enemy weapons, and apparently the universe's greatest escape artist. How is he all of these things? Well, he learned it on the streets, I guess.
Right.
Hell if I know, guys. Good lord, don't shoot the messenger here. Alright, so my biggest issue with Gary Stu, outside of him being a Gary Stu, is that he's just a shithead. He's belligerent, insubordinate, has no respect for anyone or anything around him. He's constantly doing the wrong thing at all hours of the day, and it makes me really think, is this what kids and young adults have to look up to now? My father grew up watching Captain Kirk in the 1966 original series, and Kirk was a bold leader who knew when to take risk, even if they defied all logic at the time, but he was always deeply loyal to his crew, always decisive in his own way, and he knew how to overcome seemingly impossible situations. And then for myself, I had Captain Picard, who I grew up with in the 1990s. Picard was always exceptional at diplomacy, looking for every reason to talk something out instead of resulting to violence, with a strong moral compass and the ability to inspire the crew around him to do better and to be better. Both Kirk and Picard were men of action, men who were respected, men who made mistakes but had the maturity and know-how to move beyond them. These men are something kids and adults aspired to be, but can you say the same about Gary Stu?
No, not really.
Why is he even being recruited into the Starfleet Academy in the first place? He's a criminal. Sure, I know that Nala, or whatever her name is using it as an excuse to watch over him while he's searching for his mother, but isn't the Academy reserved for the cream of the crop? You know, the best of the best? Oh, I guess not.
You serious?
But Solar talks. Gary Stu isn't the captain like Kirk or Picard of this series. That would be Nala. Oh, you mean a Starfleet chancellor and captain that for whatever reason in hell decided to retire because she made one single mistake when separating Gary and his mother 15 years ago? What in the hell? She's shown to be a deeply moralistic woman who wants to actively take the fight to criminals and punish them for what they've done. But instead of sticking around and using her authority to try and reform the system, she just calls it quits.
That doesn't make sense.
Like, why? She's got all these tools at her disposal, along with an apparent stellar reputation because she's asked by the president to run an entire ass school, and she never uses any of this to appeal what happened. I don't understand that the show uses this as an excuse to forward 15 years into the future so that the rest of the plot could happen, but it doesn't coincide with how she's framed. That's like being the mayor of your local city, and instead of advocating for change on something you disagree with, you throw your hands up and walk away. It just doesn't, it doesn't make any sense. And you know what else doesn't make any sense? If you're not liking the video and subscribe to the channel, because, come on, like, what are you doing here?
Move this man!
Discipline. Discipline not being paramount in the Starfleet makes no sense. What do I mean by that? Well, take a look at this photo. Now, look at this one. And lastly, this one. Can you spot the difference? It seems there aren't any height and weight requirements when it comes to the Starfleet, which is odd for a branch of the government that's supposed to be able to respond to threats when diplomacy fails. Again, these people are supposed to be the best of the best. When I was in the Marine Corps, it didn't matter if you were infantry like myself, supply, admin, or cleaning toilets for a living. You had to fall into a very specific height and weight guideline to ensure you were combat effective at all times. And if you weren't, you only had a certain amount of time to unfuck yourself or you got kicked the hell out. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing applying any kind of real-world principle to a Kurtzman Star Trek production?
Are you retarded?
Body positivity isn't the only social justice trope in this show either. Tell me, if you had to guess the ethnicity of the one asshole in this group of young cadets who chooses to bully the others as a self-righteous, arrogant twat, which ethnicity would it be? If you guessed white, then you're absolutely correct. Oh my, who could have seen this coming except for, well, everyone. Oh, and remember Klingons? Remember how they're the warrior class in the Star Trek universe, driven by tribal instinct, aggression, and want to die a glorious death in battle? Well, no more it seems, because whoever this guy is likes to watch birds and wants to get in touch with his sensitive side. Also, why does everything look so cheap and saturated too? Like it was ripped out of the latest Disney MCU offering. And somehow each of these episodes cost anywhere between $12 to $20 million a piece according to recent reports. For the life of me, I don't know how. Oh god, this show is just torture, but it's whatever, who cares? Starfleet Academy is going to disappear just like the Acolyte. Although, for some reason, Paramount has already renewed it for a second season without even seeing how audiences respond to this season. Episode 3, Another Girl Boss. So I've got a question about the whole conversation surrounding Starfleet Academy. How come it's called review bombing exclusively when the reviews are bad, but never when the reviews are good? If you think there's people who are willing to tank something's rating because they disagree with it politically, but don't think others will lift it up because they do agree with it politically, well, congratulations. You're exactly the kind of person this show is catering to.
Boom. Roasted.
Well, I am not one of the people this show is trying to cater to, and after watching the first 2 abysmal episodes last week, I decided I liked destroying my own mental health enough to check out episode 3, yep, it still fucking sucks. The central focus of this episode, titled Venus Reflux, is the Calicut Trials, which pits the Starfleet Academy against the War College in this pseudo-war games type simulation. I knew we were in for a treat when we saw our core group of cadets going through physical training and being yelled at by the blue monstrosity for not doing exercises correctly or quickly. This whole scene is it's just funny. Like, you know, speaking to the veteran community here, but do you guys and gals remember when we went through boot camp or any kind of formal training? Remember the instructors who not only looked like they could do the training themselves, but they could do laps around us in the process because they were the best of the best, right? And they were trying to train us to become the best of the best. Tell me, do you think this individual could run 50 yards without needing a quick stop at the replicator buffet?
No, 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 no. Hell no.
Oh, and she's a lesbian too. I don't know if I missed that in the first 2 episodes because I was blinded by all the other rapid-fire stupidity, but apparently the Blue Monstrosity and this lady, who has a striking resemblance to my high school chemistry teacher, are in a relationship together. How do I know this? Well, the show tells us during a dinner planning scene, where the lady, who has a striking resemblance to my high school chemistry teacher, calls the Blue Monstrosity Kitten and My Love.
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
What the... Oh, what the hell even is this show, man? Anyway, so the Blue Monstrosity is drafting the Starfleet Academy's Calica team, and it's made pretty clear early on that toxic white male will be competing up against girl boss number 8417 for the title of team captain. This is alluded to at the beginning of the episode, when toxic white male is seen getting out of bed before even Jesus Christ himself is awake, to work out and make sure he's physically prepared for the challenges to come. Except, what do you know? When he leaves his room to head to the gym, not only was girl boss number 8417 up before he was, but she had already finished her workout before his even started.
Of course.
Naturally, even though toxic white male is a foot taller and seemingly 100 pounds heavier than girl boss number 8417, she's able to keep up with him in every way in trials that rely completely on physicality, strength, and agility, leading to a side-by-side shootout where toxic white male gets the better of her by bringing up her daddy issues.
Really?
I'm sorry, what the fuck is this shit? You're supposed to be the cream of the crop. You're supposed to be expert negotiators capable of spearheading diplomatic decisions for generations to come, and you're thrown off your game by a little bit of trash talk? Make it make sense.
No.
So toxic white male wins the shootout. He becomes the team captain, and there for a second, I thought this show was actually going to subvert my expectations, and then, it didn't. Want to know how you can subvert my expectations, though? By giving the video a like and considering subscribing if you enjoy listening to someone absolutely lose their fucking mind over modern entertainment. I tend to do a lot of that around here.
You're goddamn right.
Anyway, so the Starfleet Academy decides to do a secret scrimmage against the War College's team, and toxic white male is shown to be a completely incompetent leader, because, of course he is, by not only devising the dumbest strategies known to mankind, but straight up punching one of his competitors in the face, which disqualifies him at the beginning of a round.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Now, why would he go and do something stupid like that, you might ask? Well, the show needed an excuse to put girl boss number 8417 in charge and to sideline him in the meantime. And what do you know, the moment she's calling the shots, their team starts winning.
Don't worry. Girls get it done.
Magically, everyone suddenly grows brains and becomes useful, including this thing who's done nothing but roll around on the floor, scream at the top of her lungs, and be generally confused about everything that's going on around her. How did this thing even make the team in the first place? She has as much of a chance of surviving in a physical confrontation as I do of getting a date with Sydney Sweeney.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Holly Hunter is once again a centerpiece of this episode, and she's doing Holly Hunter things. I actually really like her as an actress, but I don't know what in God's name she's doing with this character. Captain Kirk and Picard did have their moments of levity and comedy, sure, but Nala here seems like she can never take a damn thing seriously. She's always laying around in her chair like she's a 20-year-old sorority girl. She's constantly walking around barefoot and putting her feet up when she's talking to students and subordinates. It's like the show has gone out of its way to make her as quirky and relatable as possible, and it comes off as just cringe. Whatever happened to Star Trek being serious, being grounded instead of this Disney-fied Marvel-level gag crap?
He can't keep getting away with it! He won't.
I understand that this show is trying to appeal to a younger demographic that has a worse attention span than a common ground squirrel, but Jesus fuck mothering Christ, do we have to crack a joke every 15 seconds? Ugh, whatever. This is Star Trek now, and all of us whiny man babies are just gonna have to be okay with that. So this episode ends with the War College accepting defeat in their little prank war, something I didn't mention because it was such weapons-grade stupidity I didn't want to dignify it with an explanation. I mean, seriously, there's a scene where the War College transpons our cadet group out of their locker room to random parts of the academy. And of course, both of the guys are naked and unclothed completely, something that's treated as a joke.
Oh, you flipped too hard, damn it!
While the women at least have undergarments on. Imagine, if you will, if this was the opposite way around and the ladies being naked was treated as a joke. People would be losing their minds on Twitter quicker than you could say Alex Kurtzman is a talentless hack. And that's it. That was episode 3 of Starfleet Academy, and it was... hell, I don't even know what it was. It was just another piece of poo-poo in the big steaming pile of the stuff that is modern entertainment. Episode 4. Gated. So, have y'all read the recent Mary Sue article that attacks the Star Trek fans that don't like Starfleet Academy? Those dude bros mad at Starfleet Academy aren't actually Star Trek fans. Time and time again, we're confronted with fans of something who continue to miss the lessons within the media they're consuming. We've seen it with Star Wars, our superhero stories, and it has become an increasing problem with Star Trek fans. I see. So we're doing this again. We're blaming fandoms instead of these horrible production companies that are creating weapons-grade bullshit at the cyclic rate and destroying long-standing franchises. These modern media shills aren't just insane. Now, being insane means you're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. These people are absolutely fucking retarded. I guess I am too, though, because I watched episode 4 earlier this morning and, well, it's a
worthless, steaming pile of cow dung.
Since we were just talking about that article from the Mary Sue, why don't we go ahead and check in on Starfleet Academy's Gary Stu. In my episode 1 and 2 review, I brought up how apparently this guy is the best at every damn thing. So Gary Stu is apparently a world-class fighter, a pilot who's good enough to keep prison ships traveling at high speeds from crash landing, a genius hacker capable of overriding enemy weapons, and apparently the universe's greatest escape artist.
See, I did say that.
Guess what? He's also an expert on interspace law, and the best debater in the entire class. How does he accomplish this exactly? Well, he learned it. He learned it in prison because he needed to in order to survive, I guess.
Right.
I don't even care at this point. Anyway, so this episode centers on our young cadet group learning how to debate by picking a single issue and discussing both the for and against arguments in a formal competition in front of the entire Academy administration. Fair enough, actually. I think being able to intelligently convey your perspective and counter your opponents is an important trait for a commander to have. After all, both Captain Kirk and Picard were the best at doing that. You want to know who isn't, though? Nala. Not only did she fuck up the negotiations with the deaf guy back in episode 2 by pissing him off and disrespecting his culture, but she does the same thing with the Klingon captain, Obel Wachak, here in episode 4.
Fuck.
In a sequence I can only describe as nuclear-level cringe, she attempts to negotiate with the Klingon captain over accepting the Federation's help in relocating his species to a random planet. And how does she do this? By trying to get him drunk and flirting with him. Not to get too R-rated here, but how would this work? I couldn't find a picture of Captain Wojak at the time of recording, but there's obviously one of Jaden, who's also a Klingon, with Nala standing next to him, and I'm not quite sure how she and a Klingon would be physically compatible. Getting demonetized and joking aside, naturally Nala can't take anything seriously and fails to persuade the captain. As a result, she has to rely on Jaden and his brilliant idea of waging war on his fellow Klingons, only to purposely lose said war so they take the random planet as a war trophy. And you know what? That's how you get an alien race to trust you right there. You lie and manipulate them.
Brilliant!
As a matter of fact, I don't know how Captain Wojak didn't see right through this shit in the first place. The Federation shows up, claims he's in a restricted airspace, declares war on him and all the Klingon houses, flies through their fleet without firing a single round, and then surrenders when he projects himself into whatever excuse of a starship bridge this is. And at no point does anybody on the Klingon side think, wait a minute, this was too easy. It seems like you manipulated us into getting what you want.
Are you dumb or something?
I guess it makes as much sense as the rest of this show. Good Lord. There's quite a bit of focus on Jaden as a character in this episode. Some I agree with, some I don't, but what kind of name is Jaden for a Klingon? In the past, we've gotten Klingon names like Worf, Kalis, Kor, and Kang, but here we've got Jaden because apparently we have to appeal to a younger generation of fans. Truly, I can't wait for Aiden, Braden, Hayden, and Caden to show up too.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
On that note, even if your name does end with Den, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and checking back pretty much every day at this point to listen to my slow mental decline. Anyway, so we get to see Jaden's origins, his struggles with denying his family's tradition and culture, and honoring the death of his brother, who died while trying to get him Starfleet technology. Speaking of that, we did see Jaden get a hold of a Starfleet transmitter, but it gets destroyed, so how did he end up getting there to begin with? We did this whole stupid-ass backstory thing, and we don't even get shown how he applied and got accepted to the Academy in the first place. He just does, I guess.
Of course.
My biggest problem with this whole situation is that Jaden denies his traditional warrior-like status that his race holds paramount, while going on to try and break the stereotypes by being more interested in science and medicine. My question is, why can't both exist? Worf did it. Worf was a proud, physically domineering officer of the Enterprise that was always capable of tearing your arms off at any given moment, but found a way to balance that with Federation ideals and diplomacy. Jaden, though, he has no interest in the physical side of the Klingon culture, and instead wants to focus on his studies, birdwatching, and doing weird, borderline gay meditation sessions. I'm not kidding you, there's one scene in Jaden's bedroom where a toxic white male holds his hand, gets within 3 inches of Jaden's face, teaches him how to do this weird woosah thing, and I swear to God, I thought they were going to start making out right there and then.
Guy.
Can you really blame me? We just got a lesbian couple comprised of this blue monstrosity and a lady that strongly resembles my high school chemistry teacher last episode. It's only a matter of time before we have 2 dudes trying to screw each other. Good God, what have I become, man? I've got PTSD from modern entertainment at this point. Everything else is pretty much the same in episode 4, though. Gary Stu is still the best at everything. Girl boss number 8417 is just as smug as ever. This thing continues to be as annoying as possible to the point I want to shove KFC sporks into my ear hole so I don't have to listen to her talk anymore. And all of the set pieces look like they were generated on a 1990s Macintosh held together with dollar store duct tape and hooker spit. And after watching episode 4, I asked myself the same question I did after I watched the other 3 episodes. Who is this show for? It's not for the OG Star Trek fans because it disrespects every single aspect of the shows and characterizations that came before it. And it's not for a younger generation of fans because this show is so convoluted with just shit on top of more shit that kids with the attention spans of goldfish are never going to be able to keep up with. Episode 5. A whole hour on the most annoying thing in this show. So tell me, dear viewer, what do you get when you take the most annoying character in a series and make an entire storyline which includes Fortnite dancing, someone throwing up glitter, fart jokes at a rehearsal dinner for a diplomatic caucus, and a gay Klingon dancing at a nightclub where a drag queen is the bartender?
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
You get the latest episode of Starfleet Academy, that's what you get. It's a show that's tanked so hard over the last few weeks that it's not even in the top 10 on its own damn platform. Oh, and the free YouTube premiere that got outperformed by an action figure sitting in a chair? Yeah, that disappeared entirely. Gosh golly, who could have seen this coming except for, everyone that doesn't have their pronouns listed on their social media pages. I don't know if it's my senseless optimism that this show will magically get better, or the fact that I enjoy the mental equivalent of cock and ball torture, but I decided to watch episode 5, titled Series Acclamation Mill, or SAM for short. And, Yeah, that was an experience. Oh, Lord, we really have hit slop bottom, haven't we? Remember Deep Space Nine? Remember Isla Dax? Remember Cisco? Remember when Star Trek didn't want to make you rub hand sanitizer into your eye sockets to ease the pain of watching it? Well, that's pretty much what episode 5 is in a nutshell. It's nostalgia baiting of the highest order, harkening back to a time of actual good storytelling that inspired an entire new generation of fans, and it's all done through the lens of this annoying little shit that won't let a single scene breathe because she can't shut up for more than 5 seconds. Talk about knowing your audience, huh? Not only did they create the most gratingly cringe character not named Michael Burnham, they said, fuck it, let's do an entire episode that focuses exclusively on her. And let's do it in a way that can best be described as if Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Birds of Prey had an ass baby. I'm not kidding you, there's so much shit flying across the screen through half the episode that I thought I was watching a Modern Warfare 2 montage. Whatever, I guess this is Star Trek now. And this show has the gall to put based upon Star Trek created by Gene Roddenberry in the title sequence. Like he isn't rolling over in his grave every time a new episode of this junk is released.
Look how they massacred my boy.
My biggest issue with this show is, and continues to be, the fact that nobody takes anything seriously. Sure, Star Trek has always had its comedic moments, always some kind of intelligent humor that added levity to otherwise tense situations. But Starfleet Academy treats itself as some kind of slapstick comedy that injects late-stage Marvel humor and Gen Z TikTok gags into every damn scene. For instance, there's a rehearsal dinner where we see the Doctor, Commander Kelrick of the War College, Nala, and that one lady who looks like my high school chemistry teacher prepare for a diplomatic discussion in collaboration with Chancellor Amal of Alpharet. Apparently, collaborating with the Alpharets is a pretty damn big deal according to Nala. They're known for their pride, prowess, and acumen and don't share their name with just anyone. I'm willing to bet they're known to wear shoes too. Something Nala can't be bothered with because apparently she doesn't own any and walks around everywhere barefoot. Anyway, so how does Starfleet Academy choose to depict this important rehearsal dinner? Well, they shout at one another through a makeshift bullhorn. The one lady who looks like my high school chemistry teacher cracks jokes drier than women when they're around Bevo. Nala does a bad impression of an even worse impression of a UK accent. And the dinner ends abruptly when the mutated fish thing in the middle of the table deflates, sounding like a fart that's reminiscent of my weekend benders of beer and Taco Bell. Naturally, this pisses Commander Kelrick off because he says, I was a fool to trust any of you. You can't be asked to take anything seriously for even an hour. One sympathizes, truly, because that's exactly how I feel about this show. And if you do too, consider subscribing to the channel for more unhinged, unfiltered commentary on modern entertainment's latest cinematic diarrhea. Speaking of diarrhea, while all of that is happening, Sam has made it her personal mission to try and discover the fate of Captain Benjamin Sisko, a central character from Deep Space Nine that became a pseudo-religious figure to the Bajorans amid the Dominion War. She does this by being a pest to anyone within 3 feet of her, visiting museums, examining artifacts, and going to a nearby bar to get shit-faced.
Not a great plan.
Except not really. She's a holograph or something, so she can't actually get drunk, but Gary Stu can program her to make it feel like she is. Because of course he can. He can do anything the plot needs him to. Well, except bang the daughter of the deaf guy from back in episode 2. I think I speak for everyone when I say, can y'all just screw already so we don't have to watch you make googly eyes at one another every 15 seconds. Okay, thanks. So if you thought Sam was annoying as it is, boy, do I have good news for you, because it's 4 times worse when she's drunk. She bothers everyone at the bar, including, this individual. She dances like an epileptic 8-year-old, and to top it all off, she picks a fist fight with the War College right there in the middle of everything, which escalates into a full-scale bar brawl between them and our entire cadet group. Now, you would think this would be a big issue, right? After all, the Starfleet Academy is the best of the best, and they demand the best of the best. This is the same academy that trained Captain Kirk and Picard, Spock, and Worf. To be sure, they'd be expecting their students to act with discipline, and when they didn't, there would be serious consequences.
No.
Apparently not, because when our cadets are getting patched up by the doc moments later, while Sam is still drunk, by the way, it's all swept under the rug like it never happened. What an interesting message to send to a new, younger generation of fans.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Oh, and what's going on with Hayden, or Aiden, Jaden, whatever his name is? There's now been 2 scenes in back-to-back episodes that suggest he might be gay, which, frankly, I don't really care about, but just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off already. He and Toxic White Guy, who, by the way, vomits glitter when he eats bananas, so that's a thing, shared a moment together last episode during a meditation sequence. And then in this episode, he's seen dancing with the zesty guy from the War College. So is he gay, bisexual, whatever. This is what Klingons are now. Oh, and I forgot to add this in my last episode breakdown. Apparently Hayden, Aiden, Jaden's parents are polyamorous too, because that's apparently something we needed to know.
I'm not making myself clear. I don't give a fuck.
God, man, it's hard to believe that we still got 5 episodes of this crap left. And the funny thing is, there's a second season already on the way. I know there's a lot of folks that are saying it got canceled, but I'm here to tell you, it didn't. Season 2 started production in August of last year, and as you're listening to this video, it's currently being edited and finalized. Paramount was apparently confident in whatever this is. Episode 6, Paul Giamatti does everything he can to carry this entire series. You know, I heard some really wild combat stories while I was in the Marine Corps, especially regarding some of the torture methods used in the Middle East, both in the past and, maybe the present. Everything from waterboarding to blunt force trauma, electrocution to burning, starvation, dehydration, and suffocation. Hell, now that I think about it, that sounds like a normal weekend in the Toller household.
What did he say?
What they ought to do is take an enemy combatant, put them in a cold, dark, damp room, and make them watch the latest episode of Starfleet Academy. Because holy shit, this torture is so inhumane it should be against the Geneva Convention. Yet here I am, week in and week out, watching this show made by idiots for idiots. Because y'all enjoy listening to me lose my ever-loving mind over it. Well, that, and I'm hoping we content creators can nuke this thing like we did the Acolyte. I actually don't know which one is worse at this point. I really don't. When I was reviewing Alien Earth a few months back, my biggest issue, outside of the xenomorph Stevie wandering his way through the corridors, was that everyone in that damn show was dumber than a box of Rachel Zegler's. And what do you know, my biggest issue with episode 6 of Starfleet Academy just so happens to be the exact same thing. First and foremost though, can anyone tell me what in the hell Betazoids can actually do? Like, I know they're in tune with other people's emotions, and I know old Shovelface over here can do this exceptionally well, but what are the limits of her powers? She and Gary Stu finally, let's see, how can I explain this without getting demonetized?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Let me explain.
Yeah, they do that. But after a little slap and pickle, she infiltrates his mind, showing him this yellow flower field that was her safe space growing up, as if he was actually there. So if she can make him see, hear, and feel whatever she wants, can she make herself look like Sydney Sweeney to him? Just curious, that's all. I know some guys like women built like Boy Scouts, but I prefer the more top-heavy variety.
But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, don't you guys? All right, moving on. So most of this episode encompasses this training module, where cadets from both the Academy and the War College have to learn crisis management and rescue operations. Now, do you think they do this within the confines of their state-of-the-art learning facility in San Francisco, of all damn places? Like that city is a bastion of hope or something, when in the current day you could create a small army from its pest-soaked, rat-infested homeless population. No, they do not do their training in San Francisco. For whatever reason, they take all of these college-age cadets to a ship graveyard, where they'll attempt to revive a dead ship, the USS Miyazaki, which up until this point, and I shit you not, has only existed in a bit of fan fiction titled Harry Potter and the Return of James T. Kirk.
Really?
If I'm lying, I'm crying, and I haven't shed a tear, folks. You know what will make me cry, though? Is if you click off this video without considering subscribing, because if you enjoy unhinged, uncensored commentary on all things entertainment, I'm your guy. Do me a favor, too, if you don't mind. If 150 of y'all hit that hype button, apparently it helps small creators like me out. Just saying, and I'd much appreciate it.
Do it.
Can we talk about how much the Federation sucks at their job in this show? Like, Nala has managed to piss off every single person she's talked to so far, and in this episode specifically, the Federation thought it would be a great idea to wander out into deep space with a bunch of young kids. No security, no escorts, no nothing, even though there's a notorious well-known space pirate at large. You know, the same space pirate who almost stole their ship a few episodes back and just so happens to hate Nala's guts. One sympathizes, but hey, at least she's wearing shoes this episode, so that's a plus. So our cadet group boards the USS Teriyaki, again with no security, no weapons, just some nameless dork lieutenant that I can't remember, which works out because he conveniently dies when they're all taken hostage by a group of criminals known as the Furies.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, it does. Somehow the Furies were able to get 30 of their ships to surround the USS Suzuki, get their people inside, capture the cadets, and throw up some bullshit force field all before the Academy could lift a finger to stop them. Luckily, though, the cadets are able to break free. Well, no thanks to Hayden Jaden Aiden, because even though he's a Klingon, a race of people known for their combat prowess and immense strength, he doesn't throw a single punch and instead relies on Gary Stu and that one guy with eyebrows to cover up half of his face. Want to know why? So he can go take care of his zesty little boyfriend until the plot needs him again.
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
What in the... what in the ever-loving hell, man? Who wrote all of this down, shot it, edited it, and thought, yeah, Star Trek fans are gonna love this? With their cadets in danger, the Federation reaches out to the only man that they know has taken down the Furies before. And what do you know? It's Braca, the same aforementioned space pirate that hates Nala's guts. What in the absolute mothering fuck were they thinking here? Like, how do they know Braca and the Furies weren't working together all along?
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
And what do you know? Braca and the Furies were working together. While Nala is doing nothing but berating, trash-talking, and hitting Braca because that's her brand of diplomacy, it seems, he's able to manipulate her into leaving a nearby tech station vulnerable by recommending that they pull the station's only ship, which just so happens to have an experimental weapon which could aid in rescuing the cadets from the USS Hitachi. Now, why was there only one ship protecting this entire station? No clue. Did the Federation send reinforcements there to compensate for it? No, they did not. Did Braca escape the Federation, kill everyone on the tech station, and steal everything? Yes, he did. Good lord. I mean, who could have seen this coming except for everyone with an IQ higher than a Spam and cheese sandwich, for Christ's sake? So the episode ends with Shovelface ripping off her plot device, unlocking her true power, and using it to somehow psychically transport herself into the USS Mitsubishi. She then becomes the Dragonborn and Fuzrodas all the Furies until they spontaneously combust. How is she capable of doing this? No clue, but it came with a cost. In the final fight, Eyebrows takes a shot to the chest that kills him, and then Sam. Oh, Sam, she also gets shot.
Oh no. Anyway, last week...
Yeah, she's completely fine though. The doctor is seen patching her up because of course we weren't lucky enough for her to die. She's gonna grace our screens whether we like it or not at this point.
Fuck.
So, yeah, that was episode 6. We took a break from character building episodes, which I really do hate, I gotta tell you, because I want to see more of the gay, dress-wearing, bird-watching Klingon with polyamorous parents. But I guess I'll settle for an entire hour of the Federation making the most retarded decisions possible. They say characters in stories are only as smart as the people writing them, and when it comes down to Starfleet Academy, nothing else is truer. Episode 7. Just say you're gay already, dude. Damn. The word of the day is humiliating. Humiliating is defined as extremely destructive to one's self-respect or dignity. Here's an example of using it in a sentence. Star Trek is humiliating the hell out of itself by sharding out whatever Starfleet Academy is onto Paramount Plus every week.
That is one big pile of shit.
When The Acolyte came out a few years ago, I thought to myself, this is it, right? This is what rock bottom looks like. But nope, Paramount told us to hold their beer because they wanted to one-up the House of Mouse, and I'm pretty sure they did it. And this is the company folks want to get Warner Brothers instead of Netflix. You know that, right? They're two wings of the same bird. If Netflix wins out, Superman's going to be a disabled bisexual Latino, and if Paramount wins, Snape's changing from a white pasty-faced looking ghoul to a black guy. Oh wait, that's already happening. We are fucked no matter which way we look at this, but let's get into this episode analysis already. Episode 7 opens up with our cadets heading off on spring break, or All World's Day as Starfleet Academy calls it. About a month after the Academy did the most retarded thing possible by falling right into Brocca's trap at the tail end of episode 6, and endangering students' lives in the process. There's no long-lasting effects of what happened last episode either, by the way. Outside of the 5th Ninja Turtle randomly glitching out because she got shot, and Shovelface is recovering off-screen after she Fuzro Dodd all of the pirate guys. But Gary Stu and Hayden Jaden Aiden? Yeah, they're perfectly fine. Sure, the guy whose eyebrows cover up half his face got shot and died right in front of them, but nah, man, it's cool. Gotta catch those rays and put back on the man's skirt.
Guy.
So let me pose a question for you. Out of everything that happened last episode, which one of the cadets do you think deserves a promotion? Is it Gary Stu, who managed to restart the ship and, I guess lead the cadet group as they held off the space pirates? What about Sam, who got into the ship's systems and turned the interior shields on, which saved everyone's life? I'd mention Hayden Jaden Aiden, but all he did, despite supposedly being the one warrior class in the entire cadet group, was cry over his little war college boyfriend, who, by the way, is confirmed to be his boyfriend in this episode.
Well, no shit.
Oh, sweet God, this is... this is Star Trek nowadays. Anyway, it was a trick question. Nobody on the USS Miyazaki was nominated for promotion, even though they did some pretty heroic shit. Instead, Chancellor Barefoot approaches girl boss number 8417 about it. Now you're probably wondering, what did she do while the others were fighting for their lives? Well, she stared at a screen looking for a cloaked enemy while being perfectly safe and completely out of harm's way. Not a scratch on her while everyone else is getting beat the hell up and shot at.
Really?
You want to know who else is getting beat the hell up? Me, because I'm watching all this nonsense so you don't have to. If you're having a good time and a few laughs, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more unhinged, uncensored reviews.
No! What are you waiting for? Do it!
Alright, the big point of contention this episode, in case you haven't seen the hellfire and brimstone on the internet over the last 24 hours, is that not only is Hayden Jaden Aiden gay, but so is Toxic White Guy, and they reveal it in the most unsubtle way possible. So Toxic White Guy is abducted and taken back to his home planet of Keonia. Is it Keonia? Kionia? Frog World. He's taken back to Frog World to participate in a marriage ritual to the Queen of Frog World. Speaking of them being frogs, we've seen Toxic White Guy in his natural form once, just once, back in episode 1. And even in this episode, where he's surrounded by other frog people in a ritual, nobody looks like this. I mean, could the 10 to 20 million per episode budget not handle the CGI and makeup or something?
No.
So Toxic White Frog is agreeing to marry the Queen of the Frog World, to fall in line with his people's tradition and make his parents proud of him. But it comes with a caveat. He cannot return to the Starfleet Academy. Okay, you starting to see what I'm getting at? But after Hayden Jaden Aiden gives a moving speech as his best lady. You know what? What the hell is up with this fruity-ass dress thing? Whatever. Hayden Jaden Aiden gives a moving speech about Toxic White Frog's time at the Academy, proving that what he is there is much different than what he is on the Frog World. At the Academy, he's loud, vibrant, aggressive, and of course, toxic, whereas the Queen of the Frog World remembers him as withdrawn, timid, and submissive. What about now? Do you get it now? So she meets with Toxic White Frog at the reception, all the while he's making googly eyes at Hayden Jaden Aiden, and tells him that she wants to annul the marriage so that he can return to the Starfleet Academy, return to being who he really is, and to forge his own path moving forward. Okay, if you don't get it by now, I don't know what to tell you. He's gay, alright? He's got the hots for Hayden Jaden Aiden. This whole marriage thing was just a metaphor for how he should accept himself and his gayness, instead of worrying about what's traditional.
God damn it! Same shit, different day.
Why in the fuck are we still doing this in 2026? Nobody cares if you're gay. Dude, just go do your thing. What we care about is the non-stop cramming of this shit down our throats every single bleeding second of the day. If you want being gay to be somewhat normalized, start treating it like it's normal, not some theater trope that always has to be made into a big deal.
I don't like girls. I'm not making myself clear. I don't give a fuck
Meanwhile, back at the Academy, girl boss number 8417 and Gary Stu are breaking into the command bridge. I guess she wants to, sit in the chair or something. Except, oh no, she lied to him because the only reason she wanted to get in there is to grab a conveniently placed universal key so that she can change the letters of recommendation that she forged on her application to the Academy. Sweet God, I have a few questions here. How did Gary Stu hack into the command bridge and manage to bring the systems online without some kind of alarm being sounded? Hello? Is it really that easy to just walk in and take control of the entire ship? Wants to keep someone else from doing the same and taking off with the damn thing. Also, what do you mean girl boss number 8417 forged her letters of recommendation? Would they not have contacted those who recommended her before she stepped foot into the Academy? Never mind, I forgot. The Academy is fucking stupid.
Of course.
So they end up getting caught by the lady who has a striking resemblance to my high school chemistry teacher, and the show treats this as some kind of dramatic moment when you, me, and everyone in between knows nothing bad is going to happen to these guys. After all, 2 episodes ago, our cadet group started a whole-ass bar brawl, and hell, one of them even came back still drunk, and literally nothing happened. And what do you know, even though they broke into the command bridge, started up all the systems, stole a key, and one of them literally lied to get into the Academy, all they've got to do is a bit of community service, and yeah, that's it.
That doesn't make sense.
What a great thing to teach our younger generation. Do what you want, and there will be next to no consequences. Christ. Episode 8. Really? We're doing theater now? Well, it's another week, another episode of Starfleet Academy, and another vat of weapons-grade cope from the usual crowd, trying to gaslight us all into liking this pile of cinematic dookie. This time around, it's Christopher Cushman, a longtime Star Trek graphic designer and technical illustrator, that says, negative review bombing of Academy likely to end the possibility of shows like Legacy, as well as put Trek into 10 to 15 years of hiatus.
Stop. My penis can only get so erect.
Okay, Chris, so what you're telling me is that if we continue to bury this show into the ground just like we did The Acolyte, they might shelve the entire series for a decade or so until new creative minds enter the fray and decide to pick it back up again. Is that really that bad of an idea at this point?
No, not really.
Especially once you consider episode 8, titled The Life of Stars, which I had the non-pleasure of starting my day off with. Because if there's one thing I love first thing in the morning is depression and the cinematic equivalent of cock and ball torture. So this episode picks up pretty much where episode 7 left off, after the frog wedding that served as a metaphor for toxic white guy to pretty much come out of the closet and profess his love for Gaten right then and there. For whatever reason, now that our cadets are back at school, nobody can seem to work as a team. They're constantly shouting at one another and failing tests that required them to work together, all under the guise of the trauma that happened on the USS Miyazaki. Wait a minute, hang on. What?
That doesn't make sense.
Where was this trauma last episode? Gary Stu and girl boss number 8417 decided to stay back instead of visiting their families, or the lack of, and they worked perfectly fine together. There wasn't any trauma when Gary was sunbathing like a total tool bag. There wasn't any trauma when they were hanging out talking for hours on end. There wasn't any trauma when she convinced him to magically hack the command bridge so that she could steal some bullshit blank key that would magically allow her to manipulate her student record. Didn't they get in trouble for that too? They were assigned to do community service for like 200 hours as a punishment. Where was that this episode? Are they done already? Or, you know what? Whatever. Nobody faces the consequences of their actions in this show. I don't know why I keep bringing it up. Anyway, where was the trauma during all of that? Where was Toxic White Guy and Gaten's trauma when they were back on his home planet? They did a whole ass wedding, speeches, dinner, and annulment, and there was no signs of trauma. At all. Zero. So the fact their trauma is the narrative focus of this episode doesn't make any damn sense.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Shovelface is back, and she's got some trauma too. After all, she did make a room full of people spontaneously combust. God, I wish that was me so I didn't have to watch this show. And for whatever reason, her and her brother are now a part of the Starfleet Academy instead of the War College. Why? No damn clue. Shovelface doesn't want to be at the Academy. She wants to be at the college, but Chancellor Barefoot pretty much tells her to fuck off and, yeah, that's that. Oh, do you remember that totally not annoying, totally not socially awkward character from Star Trek Discovery that everyone totally loved? Yeah, she's back, and this time around she's teaching the cadets about theater.
Fuck.
Now, even though Sylvia Tilly is more annoying than Stephen King on Twitter, I found it kind of funny how she said the quiet part out loud.
What if I told you that theater is one of the most powerful tools for social and political change? Theater is statecraft.
Oh, really? Is that why this show is oversaturated with every single modern day social and political talking point that exclusively leans in one single direction without fail or falter? To make matters worse, guess who Tilly's favorite student is, who just so happens to be another focal point of this episode? If you guessed Sam, you'd be correct, because apparently episode 5 just wasn't enough torture. Speaking of torture, if you enjoy unhinged, uncensored reviews on crap that you'll never watch but like to laugh at, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. If you don't, I just might swallow my comm badge.
I think I swallowed my comm badge.
You went full retard, man.
So Sam, yeah, she's also going through some shit. Well, kinda. She's glitching more than a Bethesda game, not because of the trauma itself, but because she wasn't programmed to be able to process it. We find that out when Chancellor Barefoot decides to take Sam and the doctor back to Sam's home planet to be fixed. And even though there was a decent message in here about what makes a human and all the emotionality that includes, I didn't give a damn about it because I don't give a damn about Sam.
Kill the little bastard, see what I care.
As a matter of fact, there's a moment in here where the makers, that's the name of her creator's real original there, guys, decide that they're going to kill Sam, but before the cheers and celebration of Star Trek fans everywhere could hit the internet, she's brought back to life so that she could have an actual childhood and be raised by the other hologram, Dr. Picardo. You had it. You had it. It was right there. One little positive, the killing of the most annoying character in the show that I could have talked about, and nope, you can't do it. Shovelface and Gary Stu are once again questioning their relationship, like we haven't seen that 1,000 times already in just 8 episodes of this crap. But for the life of me, I don't know why. Sure, Gary didn't know how to talk to her last episode. After all, she did some wild shit with the whole spontaneous combustion of a whole room thing. But episode 7 ends with an extremely heartfelt message where he pretty much professes his love for her.
Gay.
So, what gives? Why is Shovelface acting like a total dick here? I get that she doesn't want to be at the Academy. One sympathizes, actually. But what's all this nonsense about people looking at her weird and Gary being in love with girl boss number 8417? You literally risked your life to save his. He literally sent you a message he was very uncomfortable with that said how much he loves you. And for God's sake, the guy has done everything short of putting a leash and collar on himself and crawling beside you.
City boy! City boy!
Oh, Lord. So they perform a stupid ass play, which is a metaphor for trauma and how to overcome it. Sam is perfectly okay because she went through a 17-year childhood in a matter of weeks somehow. Everyone is back at the Academy, things are great, and Tilly, thank Christ, decides she's gonna head out because her job is done. At this point, I'm nearly at a loss for words when it comes to this show, and that's saying something. For an entire show that's supposedly based on the expansion of knowledge, learning from past mistakes, and growing as a collective people, it sure as hell is repeating the exact same failures that came before it.
Yes, yes.
I'll ask again, would shelving Star Trek for 10 to 15 years actually be a bad thing at this point? I don't think so, because it seems like this godforsaken entertainment industry needs to sit down and think for that long about what they've done and the things they've destroyed along the way. So what are your thoughts? Do you think Paramount is purposely tanking the Star Trek brand just like so many other companies are tanking theirs? Or do you think they actually thought this show was a good idea? At this point, I don't know. But that second season that's about to be wrapped up, yeah, I think that's going straight to the tax write-off column. The old Batwoman treatment, if you will. Episode 9, How Stupid Can the Federation Be? You know, it seems like with every new episode of Starfleet Academy, there's some shill, some actor, or someone in the production that's making some sideways comment towards the fan base like there isn't years of proof that never ends well. Why don't you just ask the folks over at Disney Star Wars?
Yes, yes.
This week's round of weapons-grade idiocy comes from none other than Mary Wiseman, who portrays the totally not annoying Sylvia Tilly, stating, "It is a really difficult thing to suddenly be confronted with, an online presence of anonymous individuals who can work out some of whatever's going on in their lives, be it rage or, self-loathing, and then put that onto you."
Are you retarded?
Yeah, Mary, that's it. It's not that Starfleet Academy is a bad show or anything. It's not that Paramount has spent the better part of 20 years destroying a franchise that's over half a century old. It's that we all hate ourselves and need to take it out on something, and this show just so happens to be the target. Well, now that I think about it, she's half right. Because I hate myself enough that I went on a short vacation, got my mind right, and then decided to throw all that out the window by watching episode 9. And you know what? I've got a question. Again. Why is everyone so fucking stupid? The biggest ongoing problem with this show is that in order for literally anything to happen, the Academy and Federation had to make the dumbest decisions possible, or be completely unaware of what's going on around them. I actually brought that up about a month ago during my episode 6 review. When I was reviewing Alien Earth a few months back, my biggest issue, outside of the xenomorph Stevie wandering his way through the corridors, was that everyone in that damn show was dumber than a box of Rachel Zegler's. And what do you know, my biggest issue with episode 6 of Starfleet Academy just so happens to be the exact same thing.
See, I did say that.
They failed to properly negotiate with other factions. They've sent students into an unsafe environment that resulted in one of them being killed and the rest being scarred for life. Except not really, because it seems like they're all magically fine now, despite last episode being mostly about their trauma. They're constantly getting manipulated by the one and only enemy of the entire show, and now they're losing track of cadets during a lockdown.
Really?
Yes, really, this is just infuriating. Episode 9 is centered on Gary Stu, who's still trying to track down his mother, who we found out a few episodes ago had escaped from prison. He's tried almost every encryption, searched every planet, looked through every database for months, until this Ninja Turtle-looking dickhead gives him the bright idea to think about the last thing his mother said to him, because that might be the encryption word he's looking for. I'm sorry, wait, what? You've tried all this other nonsense, but you didn't think for 2 seconds that the key could have been something your literal mother told you in her final moments before being sent to prison.
Are you dumb or something?
That would have been where I and anyone else with an IQ above Jello would have started. And what do you know? One of the planets she harped on during his childhood just so happened to be the encryption key he needed. What a complete and utter surprise. Without plot armor, I swear to God, these people would have died 10 times over by now. While all of that is going down, the Federation is just now figuring out that Braca stole some experimental space mines, even though that happened months ago, and institute a lockdown, pulling all assets into a nearby planet in the case of an attack. Now that I think about it, this seems kinda stupid, par for the course for this show, but still, because mines can be used to prevent a target from moving forward. Remember that, because it's gonna be important here in a bit. It's also important that you consider liking and hyping the video if you're enjoying it, and subscribing to the channel for more unhinged, uncensored reviews.
Do it.
So Gary Stu decides to do the most rational thing possible and sets out on his own to find his mother by stealing a Federation cargo shuttle. Except not really, because all of his friends, minus Gaydon, managed to get aboard the same cargo shuttle in the most convenient of ways, including this hapless idiot who's drunk and puking up glitter again, in case that wasn't ridiculous enough the first time around. Kurtzman's Star Trek, everybody.
Why won't you die?
So, under a lockdown again, let me remind you, the cadets are able to steal a ship, leave the station, enter a convenient space butthole, and land on the planet Udek, all before the Academy and Federation have any idea any of this is going on. And what's Chancellor Barefoot's answer to all of this once they do figure it out? To take the Atlas, one of the Academy's crowning achievements, and go get them, with only a few people to help her, even though they'll be entering Venari Raw territory. Just wait, it gets even more stupid. So the cadets manage to find Gary's mother in a matter of minutes, conveniently bumping into her at the first bazaar they visit, even though Udek is a pretty sizable planet. Not only that, but the cargo shuttle they stole is now damaged, but no need to worry. Gary's mother is a mechanic who just so happens to have the exact parts they need.
Coincidence? I think not!
Motherfucker, these students have to be the luckiest people in the galaxy. They've lied, cheated, stole, and never faced any sort of long-standing consequences. They've been held hostage, shot at, and somehow survived. And now they've managed to stumble ass backwards into the exact person they need to get them off the hostile planet they should have never been on in the first place.
It's all bullshit. All of it.
It's almost like the writers of this show suck or something. Almost. Come to find out, Gary was never going to leave with his friends. For whatever reason, he was going to go back to a life of crime and running with his mother. Until they run into a group of Venari who've conveniently just figured out a Federation cargo shuttle had docked at a nearby station. The funniest part about the cadets being held hostage, again, is that even though there's 2 women, the Venari choose to torture the one guy here, the glitter-puking retard who doesn't even know where he's at.
That doesn't make sense.
Equality. It's a funny thing, isn't it? A fight ends up breaking out when Chancellor Barefoot gets close enough to Udek that she's able to radio over to the cadets. And even though the bazaar turns into the rebel station scene from Return of the Jedi, none of the cadets are injured. But unfortunately, Gary's mother is.
Oh no. Anyway, last week.
Just kidding, she's fine too, because unless you're a designated cannon fodder character of this show, you're never in any danger of dying.
Of course.
The cadets and Gary's mother, I know she has a name, I just can't be bothered to remember it, are sucked back up into the Atlas, and as they're attempting to get away, Venari ships surround them, using tethers to hold them in place. With no other choice, Chancellor Barefoot disembarks the saucer, leaving most of the ship behind, and escapes back to whatever stupid-ass planet the Federation has chosen to shut itself in. Now, remember how I said those mines from earlier were going to be important? Well, Braca has managed to use them and trap the majority of the Federation and their assets on the planet.
Fuck.
Truly, who could have seen this coming except, anyone who isn't one of the dumbass writers on this show? How did Braga even manage to do this? Pretty much the entire Federation is on this planet. Were they unable to monitor any of this? I don't know how in the hell the Federation hasn't been burned to the ground at this point. They can't keep track of students, weapons, or ships. They're constantly getting outmaneuvered and outsmarted by the one enemy in the show. I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 more times as long as this show continues to exist.
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
What an absolute assault on the intelligence of everyone watching this episode. I don't know how many people it is at this point. Because Starfleet Academy isn't even in the top 10 on its own platform, and Paramount has gone oddly silent on the viewership numbers. Episode 10. Thank God this crap is finally over. If there's one thing I admire about the creators of Starfleet Academy, it's gotta be their seemingly eternal optimism. Despite not even being in the top 10 on their own damn platform and cratering audience ratings that are lower than my mental stability thanks to this show, this dork had the following to say about the future of it. Quote, "There's some really big concept episodes in Season 2 that really invoke Trek at its best, that I'm excited for the audience to watch because I think something we learned about audience reception in Season 1 is that people really do love these episodes that are sort of closed-ended stories."
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
Excuse me, what audience reception? Season 1 and 2 were shot back to back, and with no reports of major rewrites and reshoots, it seems to me and everyone else who doesn't have their pronouns in their social media bios that you don't give a shit about audience reception. You didn't have time to change anything after all. And if you did care about the Star Trek audience, Starfleet Academy wouldn't exist in the first place. But it does, and thankfully there is a God, because the finale was this morning and we can only hope Paramount decides to Batgirl Season 2. Episode 10 picks up right where Episode 9 left off. Chancellor Barefoot and the rest of the groovy gang of idiots have been caught off guard by Braca. Again. Because he's somehow been able to surround the United Federation of Planets with a minefield that if they try to proceed beyond it in any capacity, will blow up and kill approximately 160 billion people and destroy over 100 Federation ships.
I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
Okay, cool. That seems pretty catastrophic. But real quick, how the hell did he manage to do all of that? I mean, seriously, this show admits that the majority of Federation assets and ships are in this planet system, yet nobody sees him setting up hundreds of mines in the energy field around them. Is the Federation fucking blind or something?
I can't see fucking shit out of this thing.
Come to find out, the mines are made from the element Omega-47, which the Federation was trying to turn into a sustainable energy source for the rest of the galaxy. But it's so volatile that if used incorrectly, it turns into one of the most dangerous explosives they've ever seen. Hang on, I got another question here. What the hell was it doing on that rinky-dink space station back in Episode 6, guarded by one single solitary ship? Why would the Federation be housing Omega-47 out in the middle of nowhere, nearly unguarded, where the Venari Raw could easily get a hold of it, which they did?
You went full retard, man.
I don't understand the relationship between Nala, Braca, and Anisha either. Like, why is Anisha so important to Braca? This guy is a career criminal. He's been breaking the law his entire life, so I'm sure he's worked with hundreds, if not thousands of people across the years. Yet he's so hung up on her, who only worked with him once from what we know, when they were both caught after the death of a Federation officer. I also don't understand Anisha's resentment towards Nala. Sure, she was stealing food in order to feed her young son, but that's against the law. Hacking ship schematics, stealing food, aiding in the death of an innocent Federation officer, and fleeing the Federation altogether are all against the law.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
Is Nala separating her from her son, making him a ward of the government while she's sent off to prison, a bit fucked up? Yeah, I guess to a certain extent, but Anisha did this to herself, and at no point does she take any accountability for her actions. As a matter of fact, there's no accountability or consequences for anything in this show. Our cadets start a whole bar brawl with the War College back in episode 5, and nothing happens to them. Gary Stu and girl boss number 8417 break into the Athena command bridge so she can steal a key in order to change her acceptance application that she lied on in episode 7, and still nothing happens to them. All of the cadets last episode, minus Gaiden and Shovelface, steal a Federation cargo shuttle during a lockdown. They warp to a dangerous planet to save Gary's mother, only for all of them to get caught once Chancellor Barefoot shows up, which results in them having to leave the Academy's entire atrium behind in Venarival territory, and still nothing happens to them.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
And now here we have Anisha, who was originally sent to prison for what she did, and she actually broke out with the help of Braca. And do you think anything happens to her?
No.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, Nala's going to give her a ship and resources that she can do whatever the hell she wants to with. If this show is supposed to cater to a younger generation of fans, what exactly are you teaching them here? That they can do what they want, when they want, however they want, nothing will ever become of it, even though what they're doing is obviously wrong. No wonder kids nowadays are a bunch of entitled shitheads. You want to know who else is a shithead? Me, but I'm the good kind, who puts out weekly videos attacking modern entertainment and the people that allow it to happen. So if that interests you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel.
Do it! Yes, you can! Just do it!
Can someone explain to me exactly what in the world Betazoids can do? Especially Shovelface here. I understand that they're empaths of sorts that can sense whatever emotion of the person they're targeting, but Shovelface's powers seem to be limitless. She's able to infiltrate Gary's mind to show him her childhood safe space. She's able to make these bozos' heads explode when they're miles away for whatever reason. And now, apparently, she's able to use Gary and the emotional connection with his mother to somehow find out where Braca is holding her, despite having zero idea initially where that might be.
Oh, bullshit. All of it.
I can understand being so in tune with a specific person that you can read their mind and even telepathically communicate with them. But how in the hell is she doing all of that other stuff? Do the writers even know? It's never fully explained. They just tell us that she's super powerful to the point she thinks she's a freak, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That doesn't make sense.
To sum it all up, because I know I've been off doing one of my ADHD riddled rants, Braca puts Nala on trial for the things she's done, and instead of exposing her for all the stupid shit in her career, we learn that the entire basis for his hatred of the Federation was his own fault. He misinterpreted an event from his childhood where he thought the Federation attacked his colony, but come to find out, his father and the mineral they were mining was behind all of it. So he's arrested again. Once the cadets figure out a way to disrupt the energy field surrounding the mines, the school year comes to a close and everyone lives happily ever after.
That is one big pile of shit.
When I first started this show, I thought to myself that there was no way it could possibly be worse than Discovery, but after everything has been said and done and all 10-hour-long episodes of this crap has finally came to an end, it's not just worse than Discovery, I'd say it's the worst bit of fiction we've gotten in at least the last 10 years, The Acolyte included.
Power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Shut the fuck up!
As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Have you been watching the show throughout the season, or are you living vicariously through content creators like myself? Also, make sure to join me tomorrow as we go over the 3 reasons why Starfleet Academy sucked. Anyway,
I appreciate y'all for checking out my review. I'll talk to y'all later.